You're listening to the Inside Commerce podcast hosted by experienced consultants James Gurd and Paul Rogers. Inside Commerce is your fast track to digital knowledge, featuring interviews with leading e-commerce retailers, industry thought leaders, and the C-suite of key tech companies to explore the latest in digital strategy, customer experience, and tech. Discover what the latest trends really mean and get practical advice based on experience to help fine-tune your e-commerce strategy and tech stack. Follow us on LinkedIn and reach out to James or Paul if you'd like to discuss an e-commerce project. We hope you enjoy the latest episode. Today's episode is sponsored by Centra and Greb, and more about them later. We're doing something a little bit different. So myself and Paul were chatting earlier this week about the fact that we end up looking at so many examples of really cool execution on e-commerce. We're involved in working with clients and advising them and guiding them and helping them to make better execution of key site features to tap into the capability of their platforms more. But we don't often share it back. So we thought on this podcast, we obviously can't show you it because about 95% of all of our plays come on audio. But what we're going to do is talk through some examples of, I'm going to call it innovation, for want of a better word, but this is where there are features that we all know exist, but where we've seen more creative executions of it, makes it a little bit more fun from the customer experience point of view, adds more value, but also helps the business to do smarter things, whether that's smarter things with data or more effective merchandising. So we each picked out 7 stores, and we're going to take it in turns to go through and talk about what we like and why we like. And then on the landing page, there's a link to each of these sites and the relevant pages, so please do look at. And we'd also love you to reach out. Tell us about e-com sites that you love, things they do really cool, things that are different or better, or more imaginative than the millions of other sites that do things pretty uniformly. Should we get cracking, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Baz.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with one of my current clients, Lily's Kitchen. They are a really lovely pet care brand, and they've got, so in pet care, feeding guidelines is really important. Depending on what animal you've got, depending on what age, what breed, it changes the amount of food, how many calories it needs, is the dog active, not, etc. And I've seen a lot of these where it's very basic, where you just enter, maybe it's a breed, and you get given some products. But I think Lily's have done a really good job of this, and I know that they're continuing to work out how they can expand the capability and make it even more effective. But if you go through their feeding guidelines, which is embedded on every PDP, and it's also available in the main nav, first of all, you select between cat and dog. Pick dog because I'm a dog owner. You select the dog's age, obviously very important because different feeding guidelines at different ages. So, for example, I've got a 4-year-old Cocker Spaniel. You then enter the weight, also massively important because it changes the amount that you're meant to feed them per day. And it also will then change the quantity packs that are recommended back to you based on the items that match. Because if you take dry dog food, you've got all different sizes, whether it's from like 1 kilogram up to 12 kilogram packs, and that will cover across different days. And therefore, the size pack you need to cover a minimum number of days of feeding will change. So you enter in your weight, really simple, like WYSIWYG. It's got avoidance and guides as you go through. So it's like, a breed guide if you're not quite sure what your breed is. Then you pick your daily activity, which I think is really nice. So I've got a Cocker Spaniel, and if anyone else has got a Spaniel, they're bonkers. They need constant entertainment. They don't rest, basically. So he is fully active. He has like 2 hours plus every single day. And that makes a big difference whether you've got we've got friends who've got dogs who literally collapse after about 5 minutes of walking. So my dog's an athlete. Then we talk about the food. We only feed our dog wet food. We feed natural. This is why I love Lily's Kitchen. We don't feed grain-based products. So some dogs are on dry, some are on mixed wet and dry. So again, really important. So you go through all this, and then it will come out with a daily recommendation of how much in grams, how many calories per day, and how much should you buy. So giving an example of a product, how many, so they show me a tin product of 400 grams and show me that there's six of these would last 3 days. So really, really useful information. And now from a data collection point of view, this is fantastic because you can, for logged in customers, you can associate this with their customer account. You can store this information in pet profiles to make life easier. But then you can start doing smarter recommendations by tailoring product recommendations, tailoring visual display on the page to showcase the products are most relevant to pet owners. That's my first example. I think a standard feature, better executed, and then still with potential that they know to go even further.
Greb and create digital flagship stores for iconic brands of today and tomorrow. We are the #1 Sentra agency in the world, with more than 50 Sentra implementations to date. We are also e-commerce design specialists, platform and tech partner agnostic. Try our new e-commerce design subscription. Visit grebin.com.
Yeah, my first one was the footwear brand Atoms, and this is quite a simple example, but I think it's really good, and I think it can add a lot of value to users and drive a lot of value from a trade perspective. So within their stock notifications functionality, so essentially if a size is out of stock, you click it, you then have the standard ability to sign up for notification, but they also have product recommendations from other similar styles in stock in your size. So yeah, and it's really nicely executed. We're copying it across a couple of clients at the moment. But yeah, it's just a really nice way to essentially cross-sell when you kind of know a bit about the user. So yeah, that's my first one.
I like that. I once, years ago, when I purchased a bed from Wayfair, saw a really good implementation of that as well, where they had the expected delivery day, and when that delivery date wasn't going to be hit because, pallets not turned up, or container storage not turned up, they then use that, as you were saying, that kind of other options related to, based on the metadata of that product, and they sent an email saying, your shipment's been delayed. We also have stock of X, and then it's like 4 or 5 really close matching products, highlighting those that are on promotion. So I thought that was, it's really, you're right. I mean, it's an area where people do the basics well, but not often people don't think about how they can use that data to be more proactive. Nice example. Right, I'm going on to Marucci. It's a US brand for like sporting goods, like baseball bats, gloves, etc. They're on BigCommerce, and it was a BC team that first showed me this, because I was going through a process of querying how good BigCommerce really was at complex product configuration, and they showed me a live example in the US. I thought, that's very good. So you go into the customizer for like batting gloves, and you've got the product out on the left, and you've got depending on which device you're on, obviously, and you've then got a long series of options. What I love about this is you can customize as much or as little as you want, and the pricing is done so granularly that you're not punished by choosing a custom product and then having to pay because there are 30 odd different options. Only if you customize certain areas does it start adding costs. So you can customize for the position of where you're fielding, the shape of it, whether you're left or right-handed, length, different style of the web to catch the ball. Then you've got all the different areas for like leather color customization, welting and binding, lacing and stitching. You can add accents and patches. You can add personalization like initials on it. All these different additions that. So basically, it's created so that somebody who just wants to customize something simple as a gift for like a grandchild could do it quite easily. But actually, somebody who's a sporting Norse who loves their baseball so much and wants to customize it to the nth degree has got, I think maybe it's like 30 different points of customization, which then obviously influence the prices. And as you go along, you can see the product building and it visually changes, which is really smartly done, because there's obviously a lot of data behind that, changing each individual element with the correct design file. So I think that's a really good execution of a complex product configuration.
Great. And then my next one, again, quite a simple one, and it is Gymshark's implementation of, I wouldn't necessarily say reviews, but basically the way when they're collecting product reviews via, I think they use the upload, they've essentially got, and this is quite common now, you'll see people asking additional questions and like collecting additional data as part of that kind of flow and within the email, just because it's a good opportunity to do so. But Gymshark have essentially collected quite a lot of additional data around sizing, around fit, around comfort, around like material, whatever else. And then they essentially aggregate and present it within the Oppo widget on the front end. And they actually don't expose the product reviews. But I think it's a really good way of like collecting data around things that are likely seen as conversion barriers, so sizing being the perfect example in that category. and then presenting data. And I've been working with a couple of clients on this recently. And Jay, we also just talked a second ago around this type of stuff. Like if you've got a lot of reviews or that high volume of reviews, you're likely to have some real kind of gems in that can help to counter issues or tell a story or whatever. And you very rarely see brands like really utilizing the data or those like specific reviews. You just tend to see the same like pretty default widget, maybe with like some basic style or with like a list of reviews and some filtering options. But yeah, I think we both said that there's a lot of opportunity to push that harder, and I think that's actually a really good underutilized area of conversion rate optimization.
Centra is the only commerce platform built exclusively for fashion brands. Over 300 fashion brands run on Centra, including icons like Paul Smith, Djerf, Avenue, and Nudie jeans. Centra solves business logic challenges for fashion brands like no other platform, and they are on a mission to help you scale up rapidly, globally, across all online and offline channels. Take your fashion brand global, faster, further, stronger today. Yeah, completely agree. I think there's a couple of bits to that actually. So number one is the importance of that data, because I know that sentiment analysis can be done, but that's a bit more challenging than if you've got specific questions where you can very quickly analyze specific data points about products and isolate, because you can do a correlation then between rating, positive, negative, and the types of feedback and how much particular negative points correlate to a lower aggregate rating. Because you're right, from a product data feedback to product buyers, that's golden to understand what's not only what customers are saying isn't good, but also what's affecting their satisfaction level of the product. And I guess the great thing is you can follow that trail through. Like, does that lead to a higher returns rate as well? So yeah, I think the underutilization of product reviews in terms of what you can capture, but then what you do with that information, yeah, it's something. There's definitely an opportunity for a lot of businesses out there to take it more seriously.
That's probably an episode in itself. Maybe we'll do an episode on all the reviews.
40 minutes on how to do review data just to send everyone to sleep. Cool. All right. My next one is kind of linked to my last one, but Rimowa. So, premium luggage, they've got a customizer as well. But I'm calling this one out differently because the Marucci one is more of a functional one, like deep product data modeling. Rimowa is an aesthetically beautifully executed one where you have the really like pixel perfect high res product images, but it's got 360-degree rotational bit. So as you're going through the builder, and it's all on one screen, so you're not taking off into multiple steps. It's all done with pullouts, and you see the price building at the bottom. But you've got these like product hotspots for handle, tag, body, wheels, where you can customize each of them. Each time you select it, you select the wheel, it pulls out, it shows you all the different colors available, and it shows you the costs associated with them. So you can very quickly apply that, and you see your product updated with that, and then you can do that rotation. So you can flip it around, see what it might look like on a conveyor belt. What does it look when I'm pulling it by the top handle, side handle? I really love that, and it's just playful. It's playful, it's fun, it's very well designed, and it's functionally fit for purpose in terms of building the product and giving somebody that quick add to bag.
The fun fact for you is actually pronounced Rimowa.
Is it?
Yeah, and so I always called it Rimowa, and I met someone from Rimowa, and then they corrected it and said it's Rimowa. I still call it Rimowa because it's like Stussy as well. Like people just know that it's Stussy.
Oh, if I ever meet anyone from Rimowa, I'm going to call it Remover just to wind them up.
Cool. And then so my next one is Civilist Berlin, which is a multi-brand like skating and streetwear retailer from Germany. And they have a couple of really cool templates. Basically, it's their new product and their all page. So the all page is just essentially a big wall of product, where you've just got very small thumbnails and then like shed loads of product. It's just a really really nice way to see the broader catalog and shop visually, and then it's just super engaging. And then new product, so on desktop, it is a horizontal scroll, and it's such a simple thing. We're copying it through, we're a brand, and it's such a simple thing, but it's just a nicer way to shop, and it's a bit different to like their conventional PLP. And then on mobile, Oh no, on desktop, sorry, it is vertical. On mobile, it's horizontal. But it's just a bit different. And yeah, everyone I know that I've showed it to has loved it. And I think yeah, just a little bit more creative with high traffic templates. And yeah,
Nice. Well, that's the aim of this, isn't it? Is we're not trying to like claim that this is groundbreaking, but it's more about rethinking how you execute stuff so that it lands more effectively, or it benefits you internally in terms of what you learn from the customer interactions with the feature. So my next one is Patagonia. I personally love the brand because they have such a strong ethos around the environment and sustainability, and supporting and funding grassroots organizations who are doing things to protect local areas. And what I love about them is, from a creative execution point of view, the product story is always told through lifestyle image, not through product shot. Yes, they have product shots, but the homepage estate is all about seeing the use of that product out in the wild. So you get these beautiful kind of landscape treatments of some guy hiking in a windswept wilderness, people rock climbing, people adjusting their kit ready for a climb, all of this activity going on. And they always on the homepage and then into the I guess the educational parts of the site have a really important like campaign and content linked to the campaign going on, which is where they do their like, I guess, reasons to shop, like the brand value piece. And a lot of people have a brand value bit, but it's normally really quite functional and not that inspiring, where it's, we are we support X, we do Y, and it's just very simple bits of content, or it's little pills. What I love about the way Patagonia execute it is it's led in from this activism basis. So the one at the moment is a petition about end bottom trawling. So it's current, it's relevant, and it's talking about things that are causing environmental damage. They're encouraging and they're active in helping people to stop this. That's then linked to the 5 key brand value props underneath, which is we guarantee everything we make, we take responsibility for our impact, we support grassroots activism, we keep your gear going, and we give our profits to the planet. So that for me is the storytelling through the lifestyle imagery, but bringing it down with a very strong narrative at all times on the homepage about the level of activism that they are involved with. So they walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Excellent. And I think, yeah, there's a massive trend at the minute around people investing more in like that storytelling. And I think a lot of people are tying it to like new customer acquisition and get people more bought in out of it. I think Nike's a really good example of what historically has been a very bottom of funnel experience. I've always cited it as like the most usable big brand site. But now they're investing shed loads more in like, branded content, lifestyle content, like storytelling on PDP, all of that stuff, which is a nice example. And then my next one, so kind of same category as yours, so is Nudie jeans. We've probably talked about them quite a lot. Everyone talks about them. They've got great content. Their site's really strong. They're like kind of brand positioning online, I think, is amazing. But on their PDP, and I think it's product transparency, there's a big kind of interactive, like super engaging section that basically houses loads of data around the kind of, what you call it, the traceability of the product and like everything that goes into the impact of the product. And it's really nice and done. I would say it's by far the strongest example I've seen. And the thing that I really like about this, especially, and I think this kind of ties into Nudie's brand DNA, is that it's super subtle. It's not like, I think you see a lot of brands that just like push that content on people. It's a big part of getting them bought in and kind of, a big part of trying to convert them. Whereas with Nudie, essentially, if someone conscious of the kind of impact of the product or their impact as a consumer, the information's there. But then when you actually do start to consume that information, it's amazing how they've done it. So yeah, really good example.
Actually, yeah, I'm a big fan of Nudie. I love the way that PDP works for just a visual presentation of all of what is essentially the precursor towards DPP style data. Okay, cool. So my next example is Motel Rocks. so fashion brands. And it's a simple one, really. It's the way that they use video on their, not just on the homepage, but primarily on the homepage. So the example when I was looking at it, because they change it all the time, obviously, so it's always hard to share an exact example. But they had scrolling videos. So it was basically like walking through a video shoot as you scrolled across the page, rather than it feeling like it was lots of different content assets in a carousel. It was interactive, it was fun, and it was just different to the way I've seen video executed in like homepage. Like video on the main homepage image area is becoming pretty common now, but it was just a bit more creative execution. The current video that they've got, which is around jeans, is got really quite stylized with model in various different poses of the jeans, but also like fade out, fade ins. So making it look like you're actually on the photo shoot with them. So I think they're just, for me, it's not that they're doing anything new in terms of a feature, but they're executing it in a more creative and engaging way that actually makes me take note of what the video is telling me, rather than just seeing a video and then scrolling down.
Then my next one. So I've started with Spoke. So I think a lot of people have seen Spoke's kind of sizing quiz or that kind of journey where you're kind of inputting information in order to get more accurate sizing and like more kind of rationale around why you're those sizes, etc., and fit, etc. So similarly to what you said earlier about Lily's Kitchen, they obviously collect the data and then they use that for CRM and on-site personalization, etc. But one thing they do with the data is they present alongside the sizing block on the PDP and then sizing filters on the PLP. And then they expose it on the PLP at the top as well. So it's like your size is X, your measurement's X, and then there's a CTA where you can kind of go into more detail around that stuff. So that was my first example, and I like the fact that it's pretty simple and it's all cookie based. But there's also lots of examples of people that are doing that as part of size profiles within accounts. So Eaton's a really good example of that as well, the way that they kind of propose that and like the journey once you've inputted the information. I've also seen like size passports with suit companies and stuff like that. But I actually think there's a lot you can do with cookies in this area. And again, this is we're starting to do more of with our client. And I think it's just a nice kind of user experience.
Nice. I've not looked at the Spoke site, so that's cool. That's another one to play around with. This is the danger. Yeah. This is the danger of talking. If anyone listen, the danger of talking to Paul is that you discover loads and loads of extra brands and lose hours of your life looking at the website.
The Spoke site, so it's a bit like Tilco, which is like the I would say still like the strongest product builder, like builder experience.
Yeah,
that's like 6 years old. And Spoke's the same. So that finder or quiz with Bespoke, it was like way before everyone started doing the kind of isolated quiz experiences. And it's still super strong. And I don't think they've really changed much actually around it or like the implementation, but yeah, it's still a really good example.
Yeah, what I like about this is the when you get into more granular detail about guiding people through sharing profile information, you just help you help speed up product discovery, and this is what this should be about. We're trying to make it easier for people to find the things that are relevant to them, but you also get so much better data in the back end, whether that's pushed into CRM or whether it's just held as custom data against the customer that you can use to drive merchandise. But the ability to be more specific in like campaigns and push data like this into like custom segments and target people around very specific product types. It's just such amazingly useful data.
Yeah, great.
My next one is Opal, and this is actually I've stolen this example from Rachel Jones from Motel. She shared it in a LinkedIn post, and I had a look at it, and I thought it was quite cool. So there's a PDP for a professional webcam, and what I like about this is several years back, do you remember when parallax scrolling came in and everyone went parallax mental, and then everything was about parallax storytelling, and then it all died and everyone forgot about it, and then there's no parallax ever again. What I like is that they've they've obviously decided that using elements of parallax and using certain visual styles is the right way to tell this product story. And I quite like it because it feels slightly retro, but really, really professional as well. And it is a professional webcam. It's got really, really quite nice product imagery, but very succinct copy as well. So rather than the standard PDP, which is here's the image, here's the gallery, here's the info, now here's your description and your other tabs, they are going through and telling the product story with snippets of information against each image. So you're learning more about the product as you scroll. It's not overwhelming, but you're getting really strong visuals as you're going through. And they got some really nice touches. Like there's one bit where it goes onto a white background with 2 paras of text. And as you scroll, the text highlights from grey to black to show what you're reading. And really nicely done. And there's a few interactive elements, but the imagery is really sharp and concise. There's video. But for me, again, it's a good example. And I feel like in a lot of e-com sites have forgotten the art of product storytelling on more complex products. There's definitely a lot more standardization I've seen where people seem to copy patterns of like all the images are on the left and you can scroll through this lovely gallery that content's on the right, rather than a product storytelling execution. So yeah, I thought that was really nicely done, and it grabbed my attention because not many sites work in this way anymore.
And then my next one, is Djerf Avenue, which is something that James and I were talking about a bit the other day when we met up. And it is from both of our sponsors, so Centra and Grubber. And I would say personally, it's a super strong site, and like this brand is everywhere. Like everyone's talking about it. And there's loads of like community stuff on site. But the feature that I'm calling out is like probably one of the smaller features on the site, and one of the lowest number of development hours featured. But I think it's really cool. So a lot of our clients spend a lot of time building shop the look, and basically investing in photography and the outfits, and then curating the product or recommended products. And one thing that they've done, I haven't seen it before, but essentially they'll have a look and then they'll have a second look for different types of occasions. So they'll have maybe dinner. So it'll be like, if you're looking at a t-shirt, it might be like every day, and then it'd be like dinner or formal or breakfast or whatever else. And then there's just different styles. So I just thought that was really nice, and again, really engaging, and just another way to make something more relative as well.
Yeah, we were talking about how applicable this is into other verticals as well. And I think this is, so I've worked with a few jewelry brands, I know you have, and stacking rings was the example I was chatting to you about, where you have, like, could be 20 or 30 different rings and they're all stackable together, and people build out collections over time and they get them for special occasions like anniversaries, birth of a child, and the ability to adopt that into one of those, style it, where it could be style it for a formal night, for like a party, whatever it might be, for those different occasions, and create different looks based on the combinations of the rings. I think jewelry could be a really good playground for doing that. So any jewelry brands listening who want to discuss how you could play around with that and then potentially get some really good product outfit and looks to drive basket size, would love to chat, because it's a great opportunity. It's really, Djerf Avenue is really nicely executed visually as well, isn't it? Cool. And we're not just highlighting that because Grubber and Centra are sponsors. The reality is, if you want to look at inspiration from Scandinavia of the amazing D2C brands, then most of them are using Centra and were built by Grubber. They've got some amazing clients there. Okay, my last one is Frank Body, and I'm pulling this up because just generally from a design point of view, it reminds me a bit of Recess, the drinks brand. I think did you work with them? Who've got really, you can tell straight away their site. They've got really quite iconic, quite creative execution. And I really like Frank Body does the same. It's got nice little quirks like animations for certain parts of the site, like the reward scheme at the top, the icon is moving around. They've got really nice iconography through the site. The font is nicely styled. There's little touches, like they've got a snippet of information, and instead of it just being in a standard content zone, they've got like zigzag lines above and below, and they're animated to move. So just little things that pull your attention into areas. So lots of really smart transitions, really good use of iconography, and really like friendly design. So on the badges over products in the carousels, instead of it just being a standard like pill, they look like little quote bubbles, which is really nice. It makes you feel like the site's talking to you. And I've read enough like studies around like psychological principles and techniques around how you can take something standard and tweak it to change a customer perception of it, to know that subtle things like this can make a difference to people's levels of engagement with the page and their willingness to go further. So I think it's I can't pull out one specific thing, but I think it's just that overall design execution is more playful and fun. And I'd recommend anyone go and have a look at Frank Body's site. It's nicely designed.
That tone of voice is really nice as well. And there is one thing that I absolutely hate about that website, and it's how aggressive their spin to win overlay is. And so while you were talking about it, I was just browsing it, and I got it 4 times. So every time, so even though I'd closed it, I got the same pop up 4 times. But I assume that's just a mistake. And again, I think you could do like a whole debate on where the spin to win sits. Anyway.
I think that is, I think that is an error in how they've set it up, because I've got on mine when I did it on Chrome on Safari. Once I closed it, it didn't come back up. So often you get this where it's not being properly monitored across the browsers, and it's really annoying. Though I agree with you. We talked about spin to wins in the past. I know some people swear by them, other people hate them. It's like the Marmite.
Younger consumers, I think they're more relevant. To be fair, I'd imagine they've probably got quite a young consumer.
I think the key thing about this podcast is we're not here to tell you that these sites are perfect, do everything amazingly, because we all know no e-commerce site ever can, because there's so many areas you've got to get right. But what I like is that they are taking standardized elements of an e-com store, their execution is slightly differently, they're creating points of difference, and that's what we're trying to tease out, because essentially that's what all e-com managers, heads of teams want to do, is they want to stand out, they want to get attention from consumers, and they want to drive better outcomes from their website. So hopefully you found this useful. Do let us know. Do you like this episode? Have you got one more? I thought we finished.
Because I realised I put 6 in instead of 7. I
saw the word cider and I thought you were just getting ready for the weekend. Sorry.
No more beers for me after this week. But cider. So basically, brand is called, I think, shopcider.com. But on their PPs, one thing I really like, and it's not necessarily the execution, but it's more the idea. So when you select a size, it then exposes some additional information about the sizing. So like fit style, additional measurements, that kind of stuff. And the goal is, I guess, one, to make the user feel comfortable that they're selecting the right size. But I would imagine it's probably also with returns in mind. But it's just a little extra like engagement to try and ensure that the user is getting the right size. And I think it's just a nice way of communicating some of that stuff.
Okay, cool. God, how did you start? I've never heard of them before.
Connor. So a couple of these are from Connor, to be fair. And he's got way more examples than I have, and about 4 in 10 are very good. So he's good source of this stuff.
Cool. So there you go, everyone. Hit up Connor from Vervon if you want thousands of examples to kill all of your free time. Hopefully you found this interesting. We'd love to know, actually, because it's the first episode specifically this time we've done. Do we get a thumbs up? Should we do more of these? Do let us know when we post on LinkedIn. Add it to the comments, or just DM us and message us and let us know. We'd love to know. And make sure you're following us on LinkedIn if you're not already, and have subscribed to the newsletter. We just dropped the latest edition 20. We drop them every 2 to 3 weeks. And until next week, everybody, take care. You're listening to the Inside Commerce podcast, hosted by experienced consultants James Gurd and Paul Rogers. Inside Commerce is your fast track to digital knowledge, featuring interviews with leading e-commerce retailers, industry thought leaders, and the C-suite of key tech companies to explore the latest in digital strategy, customer experience, and tech. Discover what the latest trends really mean and get practical advice based on experience to help fine-tune your e-commerce strategy and tech stack. Follow us on LinkedIn and reach out to James or Paul if you'd like to discuss an e-commerce project. We hope you enjoy the latest episode.